Hello everyone, and welcome to another video on Norland updates, as patch 38 has been released in the main branch. This patch brings the army menu overhaul the developers have been promising and customizing patrols in your city. As always, I'll link the Steam announcement for the update in the description if you want to read along with me. So now, let's discuss patch 38. The first thing we need to talk about is the new army menu, which has received a much needed makeover. Now you can more directly affect the equipment for individual warriors. While I would prefer a click and drag system, you can still do everything such a system would allow, it just may take more time. For instance, if you want to have your best warriors with spears, and your weaker ones with stronger weapons so they would have better chances of survival, you can always put them at the front of the squad to decide their weapons first. Another nice thing they added is clicking on the equipment panel to remove all equipment for that warrior, excluding their dagger if they have one. When hovering over a piece of equipment in the warehouse or at the squad, it will now highlight the warrior it will be given to or taken from. You can now also edit existing squads using this system. This all works to make a more intuitive and cohesive system. Finally, while it has been mentioned in the patch notes for the beta version but not the public version, a warrior limit of 20 is now in effect for each squad. There is no limit on total squad amounts though. The hiring screen received its own changes as well. While I didn't like the previous system of having to move through pages of peasants to see the whole picture, this new panel isn't exactly ideal either. While it gives you sort options, I think a better default view is needed to give an overview of your situation. As they've made it now, it feels a bit crowded. That's because every prisoner, peasant, and warrior is displayed, and a large city will cause a long list of characters. However, there are tabs now for displaying each population type on its own. An easy solution then is to return to the previous page system by default, but having the fully expanded view whenever you go into one of the tabs. This way you have a neater look and quicker access to mercenaries, for instance, but still have the ability to look at all members of a population type quickly if you want to. A smaller nitpick I have is that the tabs are sorted differently to how they display in the list. In the list it is prisoners first, then peasants, and mercenaries at the bottom. Yet the tabs start with peasants and end with prisoners. This is more of an obsessive issue, but having consistent sortation would certainly be preferable. They have also added gear options for patrol units. You can now give patrols specific equipment, or allow it to be auto-selected. Particularly good when you are needing to be on campaigns, and don't want your best weapons being taken up at home, only to be used against criminals or wolves. The last changes are with further reworked buildings, this time the altar, scaffold, den, and even more reworked Lord Hall. The former three have been turned into plazas similar to the market and tavern, which take up more space but do look a lot more consistent with the other buildings. The hall received a number of minor artistic changes. The most noticeable is an even more eye-catching throne compared to what was essentially a chair before. Lastly, the help screen in the top right is now searchable, which should help newer players wanting to learn about the game's concepts. That just about covers the big changes from this update, but there were some balancing and quality of life changes which round out the patch as well, which I'll quickly read through. When residential or industrial buildings constructions are completed, it will trigger resettlement of residents to be closer to their workplaces. Forcing to neutrality through aggression is no longer possible. AI vassals won't have their relations impacted with the player if they are forced into neutrality by a third party. When lords have their titles stripped or are exiled, they will flee to a neighboring enemy. Surviving prophecies will now grant a reward of 500 gold. Politician loyalty can no longer be increased if they are already planning a rebellion. Bishops now have an action to remove the agnostic trait from a lord. Rebellion participants will now receive a positive thought if they win. You can now set a minimum level in patrols. Prisoners will not attempt to escape in their first 2 days of captivity. That just about covers everything I wanted to go over in this patch, but this patch did also mark 1 year since Norland released into early access. It's hard to believe I've been making videos on this game for that long as well, with the first upload being about a week into early access. With that said, I wanted to take a moment to thank everyone who has watched the videos up to this point and shared the passion I have for this game. It has been an incredibly fun journey up to this point watching this game and community grow, and I can't wait to see what the developers have planned for the next year and beyond. Before I go, if you haven't yet liked this video or subscribed to the channel, consider doing so now and ring the bell icon as well to stay notified of new uploads. It costs nothing and takes only a second of your time but helps me out tremendously to get the algorithm to recommend the content to other viewers. And as always, I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.